A quick understanding of the folder structure of a Laravel 5.5 application will be of great help towards developing an application with this project. First of all, the first thing you notice is that there is an app folder. This app folder contains the primary logic for your entire application. So this is where you have your HTTP folder. This is the most one of the most important folders or the most frequent folder you'll be visiting in this application. So the HTTP folder has a controllers, middleware, and kernel. So you have a controller, have an auth. So this controllers contains the logic for your application, as we can see. And then there is an auth. This is what contains all your login and registration system. And then there's a middleware. Most of the things you do when somebody is trying to access your page on your site, this code runs first before it passes it on to the controller. So this is a folder you'll be using most often, all right? And then we can see some of these other ones are important, but not as often needed as possible. So we see Bootstrap. This is where you set configurations for your application. And there's config, where you set most of the configurations for your applications. As you can see, there's mail, there's auth, there's app, as you can see right here, where you have the name of this application. Instead of Laravel, we can call it P Manager. So our app is in production. You can change this to development depending on what you want. And these are most settings. By default, these settings should work. The language of the application is in English. So by default, these settings should work. But I want you to understand that this key and cipher are being overwritten by what you have in M file. So most of the configuration you should do here has already been done in the M file. The only time you use this file mostly is when the M file is non-existent, all right? So as you can see, it's using the app key that we already defined in our M file. This is the app key. So it's taking this value, whatever is here, that's what it's using as its application key. All right. So some configurations will be happening here as we develop the app more. And most of these other ones, there are sessions where you set how long your sessions will last. As you can see, by default, our session lasts 120 seconds. Then we can increase it or decrease it. All right. So whether it expires on close when the browser is closed and stuff like that. So apart from this configuration, basically you just visit this configuration folder just once in a while when you want to determine how your app should behave. And then there are factories. There's this database, migrations, and seed. So when you're building your database, like I told you when we opened PHPMyAdmin, that in Laravel you don't just jump in and start coding, start creating your database from here. You should create it from migrations. Now the idea behind migrations is that you can be able to version your databases. You can see in version 1 we had name, email, password. Then in version 2 we had name, email, password, and username. All right, so that more people, when multiple people are working on the same project or multiple developers, they can be able to roll back to an earlier version. So this is what the Laravel migration looks like, and this is what we'll be using to build our application. And as you can see, this is just the migration. This is seed. Seed simply means that after creating your application, for instance, after creating this application, we will be needing some default data in the database, so that maybe the default number of users, we can create like 10 different users, 10 different projects, and 10 different countries. So we want it so that once we ship this software, when someone installs it, if they run the seed, it will populate their database with default data. So that's what you have here. All right, we may do it at the end of this project before we ship this application. And then this is the public folder where you have your CSS, your JavaScript, and your index.php. So this is the folder that really starts your application. This is the folder that when someone visits your app, like your website's URL, let's say your site.com, this is where the whole thing kickstarts. So this index.php is what now routes all the calls to the controllers or models. All right, then you have resources. This is where you'll be dealing with all your views mostly, and of course all your JavaScript files and stuff like that. So most of your views, for instance, when there's a user view, like the default image we're seeing right now, this is actually what we have in welcome.blade. So if you look at welcome.blade, that is what we have. So if we change one of them, it should always change. All right, so in the views, that's where you have all your default views. So if you can change this to P manager, as you can see, it has changed to P manager. So the resources folder is where you create all your views, where what the users eventually see. So we'll get back to it. We'll be doing a whole lot of work on this and on the app folder. Then routes, this is what controls all your routes, and the most important one here is the most frequently used one is the web.php. So for every time a user has to visit something on our website, we have to define. So what you have here is the default. If somebody just opens the URL, it should open welcome.php. So but if I wanted to do something else, I can say if somebody opens who/who, it should just return where is the fridge are you. Alright, so this is where is the fridge are you. So if we go to our browser right now and put slash who, it will output only a text. As you can see, where is the fridge are you. So this is what it takes to build your application, and that is mainly the folder structure of Laravel. There are other routes you can set it, like when you're setting up your API, your channels, your console. Alright, and there's storage you never have to touch. This is where it stores most of this. Its log. Laravel stores its log files and a whole lot of stuff. You just have to touch it once in a while. Then there's test and there's vendor. You never have to do this. Touch this. Alright, so this pretty much summarizes our folder structure for Laravel. If there's any other folder, as we go ahead, you get to understand them. So see you in the next video where we'll create our user login and registration system.